Hello, I hope that everybody's doing well. Today's lesson is a little bit different. It's a little bit more difficult. I think it's would be categorized as hard love. See, sometimes we want encouragement, but we don't want to have to fix the problem or remove a band-aid that really is getting infected. There's sometimes that the hard truths, the ones that we run from and lie to ourselves about, they're sometimes the most important things we can learn. Now, if you're dealing with something and you're depressed and a lot of stuff, the sad truth is that sometimes it's going to be something that you're doing. And the sad truth is that sometimes there's things that you can do differently. And the sad truth is that it's not all about you. And that's a hard thing to learn because when you're in a place of pain, all you can think about is yourself. So today's big idea is every choice affects someone. Every choice affects someone. I remember the past couple of years have been really, really bad. I haven't wanted to commit suicide as bad over the past 2-3 years as when I was a kid. I mean, it's just really, really, really been hard. And what makes it even harder is when you turn on the TV or you read the news and it's just, oh, this pastor so-and-so kills himself. It's like, it feels like every single time that someone else gives up, it feels like it's just another check mark against me. You know what I mean? Just like it's an inevitable conclusion. It's something that's going to happen. No matter how much I run from it, no matter how much I fight it, that's just going to happen. And it makes you feel hopeless, like nothing you do is going to prevent it or change it. And that's a rough place to be in. See, their failure it affects me emotionally in a lot of different ways, and there's just a lot of confusing things that I don't really know how to process. And if you're someone who deals with things like depression or addiction or anything like that, you know what I'm talking about. Like you're around somebody else and you're trying to go straight, and they start shooting up, and it's like, and then you start doing it. So I mean, as much as we try and lie to ourselves, like I'm only accountable to myself, I live my life for myself. Well, that's cute and all, but it really is completely wrong and false, and it's pretty immature too. Everybody else in the whole world has to work around me because I don't want to be inconvenienced by somebody else, and so my actions are going to rub off on other people, and that's their problem. What? But then if they do the same thing to you, it's like, oh. So this is a little bit of a difficult lesson for me because it took me a long time to learn it. And I didn't want to talk about it right off the bat with how I've been doing these lessons because it's something that if you just start talking about this, oftentimes just people don't hear because they're too emotionally distraught. But I've been talking about this. I've been giving pointers for a while. Hopefully, this isn't gonna just fall on deaf ears. Hopefully, this is gonna be something that you really think about because it's been a huge game changer for me. If you're dealing with depression, for instance, so the big idea here is every choice affects someone. So let's just give some examples. If you're dealing with depression, when you give up, it causes others to give up, and it causes people sorrow. I mean, you give up, oh, nobody cares about me, and then you give up, and there's people who you leave to pick up your pieces. What about your kids? What about your spouse, your partner, your ex? What about your family? What about all these different things? And if maybe you're not a people person, maybe you're an animal person. What about your pets? I mean, I know one guy that died and his dog never bounced back. Like, it would just sit there waiting for him. It actually starved itself to death because its master never came home. I mean, these are things that, like, maybe that doesn't mean something to you. Maybe you're a really big animal person. I don't know. But my point being that there's always going to be someone that affects. Even people you've never even met and don't even know. Now, here's the unfair thing about this. Not giving up doesn't always cause others to not give up. See, if you do the wrong thing, if you give up, that's going to negatively affect other people. But if you don't give up, nobody's going to ever even know. Oftentimes, you don't give up and you fight another day, and it's like the world just keeps turning like it doesn't even care. And that's a hard place to be in because it's like, why not give up? Nobody cares. But see, that's just a hard thing to live with. People are going to care if you give up. They're not necessarily going to care if you don't give up. And that feels so wrong when it's you. If it's happening to somebody else, you're like, they just need to get up. get themselves back up, pull themselves up by their bootstraps. What if you don't have any more bootstraps? What if you've worn yourself so thin that you don't even have shoes for your feet anymore? Obviously, I'm talking in metaphorical terms, but you know what I'm saying. So there's a few ways to get around that. Talk about it. Be open with people. Maybe I'm just having a hard time. Can we just talk? Or maybe, I used to really consider suicide. Or maybe you see somebody hurting and you just lend an ear. What can you do? Just little things. You don't have to go into every single situation and say, yeah, I almost committed suicide. How's your day? Like, it doesn't have to be all about you. That's not what I'm saying. But just having that ability to empathize with someone. It's like on that cartoon that came out, Inside Out, where the blue emotion is able to relate to the problem and help them to feel better, because rather than just hiding behind a facade of being happy all the time, it was able to actually have a connection. Anyways, so talk about it. Watch out for those that you see the warning signs in. If you've dealt with something, you know how to spot it in someone else, and watch out for that. Give people ways to find you if they need to. Like, this is a great time for this. Start up a Facebook page, help for depression. I don't know, something like that. And just, some way that people can get in contact with you, because you know what it's like, and maybe even tell them, I have a long history of struggling with depression, and if you need anyone to talk to, I'm here. And then actually following through on that. If you're going to make an offer to somebody, you should probably make sure they actually stick with it. So the big idea, every choice affects someone. What's another way that every choice... Okay, how about if you're dealing with pornography? Oh, it's not going to... Here's the thing. No, it messes up your partner. I mean, it really... Even if they do it with you, even if they lie to you and say, oh, no, this is great, it causes irreparable damage. And then if anything happens to you and they stumble upon it, it just wrecks trust, makes them feel like they're not enough, like they're not good enough. It hurts them bad. And even in indirect ways, like it'll affect your attitude. See what I mean? Pornography is one of those things that it really, really, really crushes your partner. Another thing, anxiety. Well, if you're dealing with anxiety and you're not dealing with it, you have anxiety and you're just not dealing with it, basically what you're teaching your kids, for instance, is run away and be weak. Don't face your problems. Don't overcome. Don't learn to thrive. No, hide in a hole because something may hypothetically happen. For instance, look outside of the culture we live in. This is a culture of fear. Everybody's looking for things to be afraid of. And so now we've got the coronavirus, a perfect excuse for us to hide in our fears. So nobody's trying to be better anymore. Nobody's trying to face their fears. Nobody's trying to overcome anymore. Nobody's trying to do the best at anything. They're just existing in a cesspool of fear. And that's not a good place to be in. That's not living. That's not thriving. So here's the thing that I read in a kid's book, and I think it was so well said that I'm going to just repeat it here because I really feel like it relates. Remember, I'm on your side. I'm not trying to help you to discourage you. I'm not trying to help you give up. I'm trying to help you long term. See, encouragement for a day, that's okay. But when every single day you need encouragement for a day, or every single hour you need, something needs to change. There has to be a point where you grow and you mature and you're able to help others. If you're still in the same spot years later, it took me years to get to where I am. But if all that time you've just been looking for, I just need a motivation for myself, and so you listen to music that just makes you feel better, I don't have to change, I don't have to be different, I just have to keep doing the same stupid things over and over again, it's not really going to be good because you're not changing anything for the long term. So although you got temporary relief, tomorrow you're going to feel worse again. I'm trying to help you long term. Feel better not just for today, but forever. Doesn't that sound like a good idea? So this was a book by Dolly Parton. It was called I Am a Rainbow. That's what it's called. I think so. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it's called. Look it up. Anyways, and she makes this statement. She says, you can't choose how you feel. But then she says how you act is a different deal. So in other words, you can't choose how you feel, but you can choose what you do with those feelings. I have depression, it runs my life. No, you have depression and you let it run your life. You don't have to sit on the couch. You don't have to just give up. Yes, it wears you out. Yes, it's very tiring. Yes, you wish that you were someone else. But you're not. You're you. And the unfortunate part about all that is that it's not going to just go away. You have to learn to rise above it. What about when you have anxiety? Okay, maybe you can't do anything about your anxiety. What are you going to do with your anxiety? How are you going to step up and rise up and face it? Well, I do, and nothing ever feels better, so keep doing it. You're not trying to make yourself feel better, you're trying to be better. You're trying to be better. If all you want is a temporary relief from an emotional pain, then you're going to get into things like drugs. There's a better way and a long-term solution. What about other things? Pornography. Oh, I feel sexually aroused, so therefore I'm going to... Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to do something that's going to hurt other people? Are you going to be only concerned about yourself? You see, all these different things, it all comes down to that. How you feel versus what you do with that feeling. And this will be something that you always struggle with. Now, I'm not trying to guilt trip anybody, but you can't expect to grow and you can't expect to change if all you are thinking about and caring about is you. If your life revolves around you and every thought process that you have revolves around me, how to make me feel better, but I'm the one who's hurting. Yeah, and you're going to keep on hurting if you keep looking at it like that. You have to change the way you're dealing with it, change the way you're thinking about it. I know for me personally, my kids have been a huge driving force for me to not give up. It's like a constant usher at my back. Something that says, look, you got to think about other people. What if my son walks in? Well, I have 3 sons. What if one of my sons sees me doing something on pornography? See what I mean? That's not how we treat women, and that's not a good thing. Objectifying people is not a great thing. What about the anxiety? It's gonna go a lot more to my kids if they see me dealing with something and I'm trying to keep pushing through, even if I mess up. If I'm trying, that instills something in them. It doesn't doom them to a life of failure because I was too scared to take a step. What about my depression? What if I just sit around and, oh, well, nobody loves me. Might as well just go ahead and die. What would that do to my kids? Well, they don't know what it's like. Who cares what if they know what it's like? You don't have to have everybody have sympathy for you. There comes a point when you have to stop seeking sympathy. If everybody would just understand me, if everybody would just be there for me all the time, they're not going to be there for you. People are going to disappoint you. Yes, sometimes people will be there for you, but not all the time. That's an impossible goal. You can't honestly expect people to always be there for you, people to always care you about everything. That's unrealistic. But instead of that, you flip it around and say, okay, how can I be there for others? And you'll find this. You'll find that the more you surrender yourself for the good of someone else, the better you'll be off in the long run. A lot of times, our problems only get worse because all we do is focus all of our attention on ourselves. So my kids have definitely been a strong influence on me. Just not only the fact that, just having to say goodbye to them. I got two wonderful little girls. Got 3 great boys. They're all fantastic. I got a fantastic wife. Not comparing myself to others. I'm satisfied. I'm content. So why go digging up something else? Why go looking at nude pictures of somebody else's wife? I got my own wife. Just let that be good enough. Stop having to always feel like you have to be entertained by everything. Everybody revolve around me. Everything me. Even if you're self-centered from a place of hurt, doesn't mean that you have to ignore it. So yes, my kids do definitely help me. They help me out a lot. They stop me from doing stupid stuff. So the verse of the day is actually 4 different verses. It's Ephesians 5:15-16. Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise. Is this a wise thing? Making the best use of the time because the days are evil. People are doing bad things. I just read a story the other day about, I can't even repeat some of the stories I've been reading lately. And honestly, what's the reason to just to discourage you too? There's no reason for that. And then the other two verses, 20 and 21, giving thanks always and for everything to God the Father in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, submitting to one another out of reverence of Christ. Just the idea of being mutually accountable, realizing that the world doesn't revolve around you, realizing that you are going to need help. So what are some ways to put this into practice, what we've been talking about? Remember, the big idea is every choice affects someone. So here's some ways to put it into action. First off, learn to live your life for others. And you might say, I don't have anyone to live my life for. You say that, but I've never actually seen somebody say that when it's actually been true. Let's just assume that it's true. Now, keep in mind that there's going to be people that, oh, I'm done with them. Oh, I'm done with them. And so you've literally excluded yourself from everyone because you don't want to hurt. I don't know. You don't want to take out the time to deal with people's messes. I don't know. Whatever. So on the flip side of learning to live your life for others, you have to find people who are long-term people in your life. And what I mean by that, don't live your life for abusers and users. There's a woman, for instance, just this last week, dating a guy that is physically abusing her. And before that, a guy that was physically abusing her. See what I mean? It's like a continual problem, and she keeps going into that same problem. So what I'm saying is, maybe it wouldn't be best not to live her life for that guy. Maybe she should learn to live her life for people who actually care, for people who have potential. Now, you can't live your whole life guarded. Now, this gets a little bit complicated because it's kind of like a back and forth. If you live your life guarded, you're going to always be on edge. You're always going to have to keep testing people over and over again because you're too afraid you'll be betrayed one day. Even your best of friends will betray you on accident. You can't live your life guarded. People are going to use you. People are going to abuse you, yeah, but I'm talking about people who make it a lifetime practice of using and abusing. Well, that's a discussion for another day. Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Learn to live your life for others, but don't just trust anybody. It's kind of a balance. And through much thought, you'll find that balance. Another thing you can do to put it into action, before you make a major decision, ask a very simple question. How will this affect someone else? Even if you're suicidal, just stop for a second and say, I can't do this to them. It doesn't matter how I feel. It matters about them. It's like, for instance, the negative effects that divorce has on children. So with that being said, even if you and your spouse are yelling at each other all the time, it's still better for them than dragging them through a divorce, especially at a younger age. These are just things that are kind of important. Statistically, it's better that a child has a father who's present than has even if the father isn't good, than that they have no father. So you might say, I might not be the best father. It's better than leaving them. Even if you're the world's worst father, it's still statistically better for them if you hang around. And then another thing, have reminders. Maybe there's certain places that you feel depressed, certain places that you go to, to do it, commit suicide, stuff like that. Have reminders that put around, hey, every choice affects someone. Who am I affecting with my choices? Start living in such a way where if you had met you, you'd say, that's a person who really had a good impact on my life. Sometimes we commit suicide because we don't have a hope of a better tomorrow. So make a hope of a better tomorrow and give someone else the hope of a better tomorrow. I mean, things aren't just going to happen by you sitting on your butt, whining about how bad you have it. Listen, there's lots of hurting people. I'm one of them. Don't give up. Stop entertaining the idea of giving up. Get up and go. And that's really a lot of what life is about. So I hope that this helped you. Really, I do. Really, I do. I don't like to have hard love lessons because I'm afraid that I'll hurt somebody's feelings. But the truth is, sometimes you have to be real with yourself and stop hiding from yourself. Stop lying to yourself. So have a great day. See ya.